Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing this awesome Saturday? My name is George Moore, and I served as the Memphis Urban League Young Professionals YP Youth Chair, YP Committee Youth Chair. I thank y'all so much for being here this evening on our National Day of Empowerment. Y'all, we have an awesome event coming on this evening. We have some great speakers. And again, thank y'all for tuning in tonight just to see us talk about some important topics in our community during this time. A few things about our organization. The Memphis Urban League Young Professionals is the affiliate of the Memphis Urban League. And just a few things about the Urban League, you guys. Every major city in the U.S. has one. But the Urban League is also one of the oldest minority civic organizations in the country. And this organization is geared towards social change in our nation. So minorities can strive in excellence, community impact, serving, and uplifting one another. So an event like this is just timely because it's all about how us as men can come together to uplift our community. And so we do that in 4 ways that we'll be talking about tonight: building an empire, generational wealth, being a father, but also community outreach and impact. And y'all, all 4 of these things come together. A wise man once said this: everything you do touches those that love you. That means my success, our resources, our accolades, our vision, they are to transcend us and touch everyone that's connected to us. That's why tonight I'm so grateful for these men to share with us tonight. And we get to hear their stories. And their stories hopefully will connect to us as men, as listeners, so we can all have this vision of impacting our communities, our families, building an empire and generational wealth. So no matter where you are on this journey of building wealth, having an empire, having a family, impacting your community, I hope that tonight you get a chance to have a fresh or refreshing of that vision that can carry on to you and those that are behind you and those that are after you. So again, thank y'all for tuning in tonight. And I want to introduce our moderator for tonight, Mr. Kenneth Worrells Jr. He's going to do an awesome job for us tonight. So Kenneth, glad to have you, bro.
Yeah, what's going on, man? How's everybody doing tonight? I'm like you said, I'm Kenneth Worrells Jr. I am the president and chief creative director at 3i Creative Communications, a social impact marketing agency in Memphis and DC, where we help do good brands and organizations with their engagement, right? But tonight is not about me. It's not about my organization. It's about the Memphis Urban League Young Professional National Day of Empowerment and the amazing men that's on this call tonight with you all to discuss some really important conversations that, I'm excited to hear about. And I've talked to some other men throughout the community that's excited to hear about it as well. So we're definitely excited. And I'll be here moderating, and literally I'll be here, taking notes. I feel like I'm in that phase of looking to build wealth one day and start a family soon. So I'm going to be here with you all soaking up the information that we're going to get tonight. But, before we get started, again, I want to thank the Memphis Urban League Young Professionals for putting this amazing event on tonight. I want to thank you all for coming out. I mean, it's a Saturday, and you all could be getting ready to hit the club, but you all are here soaking up some really good information. So I thank you all. And then we want to really highlight our partners, right? We really want to give a shout out to some of the amazing partners that's really making this all come together. So let's definitely do that for a little second. Perfect. Thank you all for your work and the things that you do in this community, and we're glad to have you all as partners to the MULYP. First, I want to introduce a special guest, and he's a special guest to the city. I've been around and seen this man do amazing work in the community since I was a child at Snowden Middle School. But I definitely want to introduce Mr. Eric McCray. He served as the director of the Save Our Sons initiative for the Memphis Urban League. Nationally recognized, the program focuses on empowering African American men between the ages of 18 and 34 who face various life changes and seeking to gain skills required to win in life. Native Memphian, Eric is a graduate of Central High School. Let me take that back. He's a graduate of the Central High School and Lemoyne College, where he earned a degree in social work. Service is paramount and demonstrated in all parts of his life, as he's also had the executive privilege of serving the nations in the United States Marine Corps, participating in the Desert Shield and Storm campaign. Definitely want to thank Mr. McCray and the things he's done in his community, and let him say a few words.
Yeah, thank you, Kenneth. I was hoping you were going to remember me. I was like, he's grown on up. He's grown up. We're excited to be with you guys tonight. So excited to be amongst so many great giants, Mr. Gibbons, Mr. Ewing, and all our other panels. We're just excited about this opportunity to talk about building wealth, building an empire, generational wealth, and being fatherhood, and also community outreach. I've been doing community outreach for 27 years now. Now I've landed at the Memphis Urban League over the Save Our Sons program, and we're just excited about this opportunity. When I saw the topic of building an empire, I went back and I started thinking about that building empire. That's in our DNA as African Americans, that we are the people who began it all. We set it off in the mother country, in the motherland, and we basically put everything together. And now we've got to get back to that place where we can receive and get it back going. And these men who are on this panel are prime examples of that. I looked up the first empire, this guy by the name of King Sargon of Akkad, 2330 BC. He established the first industrial empire, and he did it not through fighting, but through commerce. And I think that ties right into what we are trying to deal with tonight, is that it's commerce that moves, not military might. Commerce will move us into the place where we can become the people that we used to be and take our rightful place back as leaders, as providers, as destiny drivers. And so I'm just excited about this opportunity. We're teaching the young men in the Save Our Sons program, not just to get jobs, but to become entrepreneurs like our panels, those that are on the panel. So we're excited once again about this opportunity. Thank you so much, young professionals, for allowing an old cat like me to be a part of what you guys are doing. And we are looking forward to what's going to happen in the future. And I look forward to sitting down with the panelists at some point in time to get them to engage in the Save Our Sons program. Thank you so much, Kenneth. Let's get together, do lunch when you're in town, bro. Appreciate you.
Will do. Thank you for that, Mr. McCray. And before we hop into this amazing conversation, we definitely want to highlight some more partners, some more amazing organizations that's doing good work in the city, and also uplift a few announcements from the MULYP. All right. Perfect. Perfect. Next, I want to introduce another special guest. This guy really don't need much introduction, but we want to highlight and tell a little bit about Mr. Joshua Perkins. Joshua Perkins is no stranger in the education sector. As the director of quality schools, he brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the Tennessee Charter School Center. Previously, he served as the advisor of academic quality and accountability in the Office of Charter Schools with the Shelby County School District. In this role, he managed 56 charter schools. All right. Josh also served as the immediate past president of the Memphis Urban League Young Professional and currently sits as the COO for Black Millennials for Flint. During his tenure as president, he received President of the Year and led the Memphis chapter to win Chapter of the Year. Let's introduce Mr. Joshua Perkins.
Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you so much. Thank you, Memphis Urban League Young Professionals. I'm so glad to be present tonight for this great event, as well as to just get some knowledge from this great panelist that you all have for us tonight. I am just want to say I am so proud of the work that Memphis Urban League Young Professionals continuing to do here in the city of the Memphis. And you know, Ashley asked me to kind of talk about why this movement is so important and the work that we do. You know, it's so important that we continue this work because it's not about us. It's about the future. It's about the kids that's coming along after us. And it's so important for the men to be involved so they can have someone to look up to, someone to see as an example in the community that cares about the community, coming back to the community, giving back to the community. And we're so excited that Memphis Urban League Young Professionals is doing that. And so I'm just glad to be a part of this work with you guys, even though I'm not as active as I would like to be. I'm still so proud of the work that we're accomplishing in our separate sectors. And so I just want to leave you with this. I remember working as an elementary teacher at an elementary school, Brownsville Road, actually. And so there were 3 male teachers there, including me. There was a shortage of male teachers in the elementary school. So those young men looked up to those 3 teachers there. And I say that to say we need more men being active in the league, stepping up to the plate to be an example for these young men. And I know that we can do it. I know that we're going to do it. And so I look forward to the future that MULYP has in really impacting the community and making sure that these young men are active and doing something in the community. And I want to thank, while I'm here, Curtis Givens for being an example of that. I know some of the work that he does, working with the young men, with the basketball camps and the different things that he do. So I wanted to say that that is an example of us giving back to the community, and kudos to you for that. And also kudos for not just being a business here in the city of Memphis, but also being a staple and also knowing when to give back and step in when needed. And we need more people like that, more people doing that type of work. And I'm just so glad to witness this today. And I'm not going to prolong the time. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you for the committee. Thank you, everyone. I look forward to getting some good nuggets myself tonight about generational wealth and leaving an inheritance, hopefully. And so thank you, guys. And back to the show. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Josh. Thank you for that. Next, we want to get started, right? We're ready to get started. And before we get started, I'd love to tell you a little bit about our panel. They have extensive bios, and I had the pleasure of trying to clean out some of the amazing things to try to get them down to something that we can read. And but these men that we're talking to today have some amazing bios, amazing stories, and I look forward to hearing a lot of those nuggets today. First, we would love to start off with Brent Hooks. Native Memphian Brent Hooks is a 30-year-old entrepreneur. As the oldest of 3, his leadership journey began at an early age. equally important, young Hooks developed his spiritual foundation growing up as a member of St. Andrew's AME Church in the heart of South Memphis. He has been married for 8 years and has an artsy 7-year-old daughter. Coming from a family filled with civic-minded entrepreneurs and educators, their guidance and experiences fueled many of his endeavors. Brent obtained a degree in accounting and finance from University of Memphis and an executive MBA from the prestigious Vanderbilt University. Brent has personally been recognized by Greater Memphis Chamber of Commerce as top young Memphian and Memphis Business Journal's top 40 under 40 in 2016 and 2017, respectively. Although Brent has small startup companies like All World Media Group and Henry and Robert Investments in his repertoire, his most notable venture is being co-owner of All World Project Management, a civil engineering and construction management firm where he serves as the chief administrative officer. This year is the company's 10th year anniversary, and the firm has a staff size of just under 50 employees. Welcome, Brent, to our amazing panel tonight.
What's up? What's up, everyone? Thank you, Kenny. That was great. I like the way you condensed it. You did a great job. I'm excited to be here. Let's get the party started, baby.
Perfect. Next, we have Mr. Charles Ewing. Charles L. Ewing Sr. is the president and founder of Ewing Moving and Storage, a pioneer in the moving industry. Ewing began the company out of his apartment in 1980 with only a pickup truck and freight. 39 years later, Ewing Moving and Storage Inc. Has 55 full-time employees, a fleet of 26 vehicles, and operates from 3 locations in Tennessee, Memphis, Nashville, and Goodlettsville. His dedication to his community and economic development led him to join the Memphis NBA Pursuit team, which successfully brought the Memphis Grizzlies franchise to Memphis. In recognition of Charles' leadership and dedication, he has received numerous achievements, awards from both the public and private sector. Of all of his achievements, Charles is most proud of his wife, Donna, of 31 years, his 3 children, and his 4 grandchildren. He is also an active member of Progressive Missionary Baptist Church, where he serves on both the trustee and the deacon board. I'd like to welcome Mr. Ewing Sr. to this call today. How's it going, sir?
Excellent. I'm excited and invited to participate on my outstanding panelists, and I look forward to collaborating with them.
Perfect. All right. Next, we have Mr. Howard Robertson Jr. Howard Robertson Jr. is the founder and president of Trust Marketing and Communications, the Spot Set Radio Network, and the visionary behind the new digital music platform and mobile app known as ODE Audio. He also co-hosts 2 very popular podcasts and broadcasts, Riffing on Jazz and R&R on Sports, with avid loyal listeners around the world. All of his business interests and productions are headquartered and originated from his hometown, Memphis, Tennessee. Life has richly rewarded him with a loving wife, Beverly Robinson, who, in addition to his business partner, is also the president and CEO of the Greater Memphis Chamber. There are 3 tremendously accomplished children. Adrian Hines, sorry if I mess up any names, I apologize in advance. Adrian Hines of Memphis, Tennessee, Trey Robertson of Capitol Heights, Maryland, Ryan Robinson of Brooklyn, New York, and a granddaughter, Addison Camille Hines, who is diligently training for the 2028 U.S. Olympic soccer team. Wow. He serves on the board of directors of the Memphis in May International Festival, Puerto Rico, the Blues Foundation, and the Laurenberg Institute. He is also proudly approaching 50 years as a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Let's welcome Mr. Robinson to the panel tonight.
Hello, Kenneth. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Good to be in your presence.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and happy to be here. Happy that obviously y'all's definition of empire was loose enough to be able to include me. So I appreciate that. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be here. Thanks very much. Looking forward to the discussion.
Perfect, perfect. Last but not least, we have Mr. Curtis Givens. When many think of the Memphis party scene, the name Curtis Givens comes to mind. That's because for more than 20 years, Givens has been an entertainment mogul locally and on a national level. From running some of Memphis' premier nightclubs and hosting lavish events to his latest venture with his Little League basketball team, Dream Chasers. Givens' imprint on Memphis culture is deep and ongoing. Since 1996, Givens has been a staple in the Memphis party scene. He established CGI Entertainment and became owner of several legendary nightclubs, including Level 2, Silver Spoon, and currently Love Memphis. He also developed celebrity-style events such as Can I Live Weekend and the upcoming Black Affair, which due to COVID-19 will be in the bubble. Let's welcome Mr. Givens to this call. Excited to have the living legend on this call today. So welcome, Mr. Givens.
What's going on, fellas? I'm glad to be here.
Perfect, perfect. Well, listen, again, like I said, y'all have some amazing bios, and I'm excited to hear some of the nuggets as an entrepreneur and again, a married man looking to build a family of his own. This is a panel that I'm very interested in hearing you all's thoughts, hearing you all's advice, and I know a lot of people that's on this call tonight, this Zoom account tonight, so you know will be interested as well. So let's jump right in it. We don't really have any order as far as who speaks, but we want to start off talking about the building an empire, right? And what that looks like. So first question that we have is, anybody could jump in and tell the story. Well, what made you get into business for yourself?
I really like for Mr. Robinson to start since he's the youngest of the group.
Yes, sir.
I think that'll be fair.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I am indeed the youngest of, and no, I'm not. Y'all know better than that. But let's see, what started me in business was actually a walk on a beach with my wife. It was really we were daydreaming really. Had gone down to Florida for a few days, and we were walking on the beach, and she at that time was working with Holiday Inns, and I was in the television business at Channel 24, which at that time was WPTY. And literally the concept for our business came from that walk on the beach. It was something that I felt like I had to do. And 2 years later, I had the opportunity to pursue it, and it was what I should have done. I mean, you know, as anybody on this panel will tell you, going into business for yourself is not for everyone. It is not for everyone. I mean, and as romantically and idealistically as somebody might look at it and whatnot, the reality of it may be that you may need a job. You may need to just work on your job where you know what your check's gonna be every 2 weeks, and if you are the least bit risk averse going into business, not for you. You know, it's what I should have done, and we've been blessed, and it's worked out very well.
Perfect, perfect. Love to hear one more person answer that question. What made you get into business for yourself?
Well, I guess I answered. I knew at a young age I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I think all my teachers and anybody knew me, I was driven at a young age. And I hope I can be truthful with you guys of why I really wanted to be an entrepreneur, you know, without it being trying to beat around the bush. But at the age of 8 years old, you know, my father, my late father, rest in heaven, died last year. He was a plumber for a guy named, I ain't gonna call his name, but he worked out in Mississippi as a plumber. And it was four of them, 4 black guys. And it was, and they had 8 white guys who worked as well. And my dad and them was, of course, you know, they were busting their butt. You know, the guy put a lot of the bigger jobs on them, a lot of the work and everything. So one Friday, and I remember like it was yesterday, they made the mistake and gave my daddy one of the guys named Curtis, because his name was Curtis Check. And what my daddy realized was that, I think at the time, and this was a lot, but he was only making $10 an hour, but they was paying all the white guys $18 an hour, and they were doing the less of the work. And I'll never forget the rage my father had that day, and the day he quit, and he said he'll never do this again. Everything he do, he gonna do it on his own. He gonna start his own business, and he started his plumbing company, and it took off. And me being right there with him, I said to myself at the age of 8 that I would never work for anyone. You know what I mean? And from that time, from that point forward, I began to develop an entrepreneur spirit, you know, by following my dad, because like I said, he was a plumber. So I saw the checks coming in, you know, I saw the different contracts coming in. I was intrigued by the money. You know what I mean? You know, some people intrigued by different things, but I was just intrigued by the money. I got 3 sons, and one of them, he just like me, he intrigued by the money. And I want to make sure that I didn't never limit myself on the money by receiving. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't get me wrong, because Mr. Robinson, you said a key thing. It's nothing. Some people just got to be workers, because being an entrepreneur, you know, it takes a whole different kind of toughness. You know what I mean? A whole different kind of toughness. You know what I mean? And Mr. Ewan, you know that as well. And Brent. So from that point on, I went. And what really drove me when I got to junior high, and Mr. Roberts, you know this because you've been knowing me since I was a little boy. I was the only one in junior high that kept a bankroll on me. And I felt good about it. You know, I felt real good about it. And I'm a real competitive person. So it even drove me even more to be an entrepreneur. And I remember like it was yesterday in 9th grade, Valentine's Day rolled around. And my wife might get mad if she's watching this, but my first girlfriend, I was able to buy her a ring. I remember what I paid for it, $514 up at a jewelry store out of Southland Mall. And all of my other partners, they couldn't do nothing but buy some flowers. And they just drove me some more. You know what I mean? So just those things, along with a whole lot of things, just drove me to want to be an entrepreneur. And then being on my own time, because I thank God for it. I have established myself to where, you know, when I wake up in the morning, I can go back to sleep for the rest of the day. You know what I mean? But I have put that work in, and I always pray to God, and I always work my butt off to be in the situation I am now. And I did it at an early age. I did it at an early age. I'm talking about 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. So that's what's kind of inspired me to be an entrepreneur.
Nice. Thank y'all for those stories. And I know everyone on this panel, except myself, are fathers and entrepreneurs. So I really want to ask a question around it. And Mr. Ewing, I'd love for you to start. You know, since you became a father, how did your life and your business change, right? Was there any difference between your first child or your second? How did you navigate that terrain?
a family-owned business. So that means my family has been in the business from day one. My brother has been in the business with me for the whole 39, 40 years we've been in business. And my wife has been in the business for the 36 years that we've been together. So we've been right there together. My wife, I worked a full-time job at the Commercial Appeal from 1978 to 1993. And I would work, and when I get ready to do payroll, my wife would have to do payroll. And I would tell her, I'd tell her, baby, I said, and I'd have to add back up just a little bit on my, why I went in business. I was a hustler. I hustled all my life, from the streets to the produce market. I was a hustler, you know. And so I wanted to make an honest living, stay out of jail, and impact other people's lives. So that's the reason I went in business. And I've been able to do that dramatically. And so my wife, when she would be at home with, I'd tell her, baby, take this pistol and leave it right there. And you do payroll every weekend. And then one thing I can do, I can get you out of jail, but I can't get you out of the grave. So protect yourself and just take care of the family, take care of the kids. Because I was working a full-time job. I went and punched the clock from 5 in the evening to 2 in the morning at Commercial Appeal. So my family was exposed to my workers, but my workers became part of my family too. So when the kids were born, my son, we had bought him a little robe, and my office was in my home. And so every morning when my executive assistant would come to my home, my office was upstairs in my home. My son would open the door and let her in with his little robe on. He had his little robe. We bought him a little robe, and he'd get up every morning, put that little robe on. And so today he's my general manager. My daughter, who was actively involved in my business, I had a daughter before I got married, so we took her in, and that daughter was active. So she worked in the accounting department. So, and then my other daughter worked in human resources. So to this very day, all three of my children still work within the business. One is stationed in Las Vegas, one is stationed in Chicago, and my son, once he graduated from Vandy and got called to a church here in Memphis, but he ran my Nashville office. So my children have been part of my business. They've never been separated from my business. They've always been a part of my business. Now, with that said, I didn't force them to stay in the business. They could launch their own careers and do whatever they chose to do. But I let them know that the business was built as a legacy for their future, you know, and they could maintain it and make sure that it existed past my livelihood. And to this very day, like I said, all three of my kids are still actively involved. But my daughter has her master's in hospitality. My son has his master's in divinity. And then my other daughter has her bachelor's in accounting. And so she just got hired at Hoover Dam to run their accounting department in Boulder, Colorado. But still, they are very active in the business. So I've never been able to separate my children from my business. So I'd say once you instill those values in them about business, then they will always be there to help support the business. And I put together my succession plan. My succession plan is for them to, if they want the business, run the business. If not, sell it and get out of it and stay in their own fields. So they've been closely tied to the business.
Thank you for that. No, thank you for that. And you brought up vision, and I really want to get some thoughts from Brent. Brent, when he mentioned values, he mentioned values, leaving values for his children. And I know you have a 7-year-old. When it comes to business, when it comes to entrepreneurship or just fatherhood overall, what are some of the values that you're imprinting in your daughter, and why?
So first of all, Kenny, you already know you my man, 100 grand. So, but I want to shout out Mr. Ewing. We moved our headquarters twice, and both times he was his company moved us. And Curtis, don't tell Mike I got a section named after me at Love, because it made Love level 2 for whatever reason. So he's stuck in the past, man. But as far as values, one of the things, so my daughter's young and she's 7, so I try to simplify things for her. When I was a kid, I had mentors, so I always try to, make sure I mentor other young men and women, but along with my daughter. So right now I've been teaching her about consequences, and not just about bad consequences, but, just there's a consequence to everything that you do, meaning, there are good and bad consequences. That's one of the things that I'm really focusing on with her. Like, if you go to sleep on time, you're gonna feel good in the morning. But if you don't go to sleep on time, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna be tired and grumpy. Or if you you do your homework, you're gonna get a good grade on this quiz. And then the other thing is integrity. That's one of the things that I'm really basing my life on. And I try to be as simple as possible when I talk to her about integrity. And I just try to tell her, like, even when nobody's around, you know what I'm saying, you got to do the right thing. So I always try to focus on those principles primarily right now. But just being exposed to a number of different educators and entrepreneurs at a young age, they always told me about those things and a lot of other things, just about work ethic, hard work, and making sure that, you're doing exactly what you need to do to get where you go. And many of them really keyed in on education. They were saying, not, and it didn't really have to be a formal education. They were like, all right, if you don't want to go to college, you got to learn something. No matter what you do, you got to be a sponge. And some of my family, like, they'll phrase it different ways. They was like, you got to get you some game. Basically, you got to have some game. If you're gonna be in this business where you got to understand the language of business, you got to understand how to operate. There's rules that you got to live within. So primarily the values that I'm teaching her right now, they consist of just understanding what consequences mean, what's the difference between doing the right thing and understand. I know, like, Curtis is probably telling his son right now, you get in the gym, you get in there early, you work hard, your game gonna elevate. And I know Mr. Ewing told his daughter when she was my background's in accounting school as well. And I went to Vanderbilt just like your son did. So I know he telling them basically the same things. If you work hard, you get the education you need, you can go to the next level. You can take my business to the next level. Just instilling those type of items into your children and making sure that they understand that if you want to be something and do something different, you got to train your mind to be a certain way. So it's all about really just elevating your mind.
Kenneth,
Thank you.
could I add one thing, please?
Most definitely.
I am tremendously happy to be on the panel with these guys, because we all have history. The thing that I want to say, and I want everybody to understand about fatherhood and business, is when you are a father and you go into business, what happens is it goes from a regular season game to the Super Bowl or the finals. Okay, your business dealings every day, it gets really, really serious. Like I said, it goes from just a pickup game or a regular season game to the championship, because you have a human being that relies on you to provide in a very, very unique way. Okay. And a father's role is responsibility. We have, and to be a provider. I've had the pleasure of watching Charles Ewing, especially with his son Lee, as he was growing up. I knew Curtis's dad. First time Curtis's father and I ever met, we talked for 2 hours straight, solidly. I knew his daddy. I know how he was raised, and he must have liked my wife's cook something, because I would come home and he would be sitting at my table on many, many occasions. He was a close friend of my daughter's. So I know what they are doing, and I at a distance I've been seeing him and what he's doing with little Curtis. The Hooks family and I go back to Brent. Julia Hooks was your what?
She's my great-great-grandmother.
Your great-great-grandmother. Your great-great-grandmother taught my grandfather to play pipe organ on Beale Street. That's how far back we go. So I'm saying that, and this is, to me, this is a phenomenon about Memphis, and this is the beauty of this. But in terms of that fatherhood piece, it is important. Charles said, you get your children involved in the business from day, as soon or as early as they can be involved. All of us have seen other cultures, have gone into stores and whatnot, and we've seen other cultures expose their kids to their business from the very earliest. You know, you might see a kid standing on a box or something to reach the cash register or whatever. They are integrally involved in that business, as they should be, because you know what? It's the family business. We've built a business, and we, from the inception, we were dedicated to the fact that we weren't going to be one and done. We're not going to be one and done. One of our and we have my youngest son is in the marketing business and whatnot, but we're building this business for it not to close when they close the lid on the box that we're in, but for it to go on. And that's what I'm thrilled that everybody else on the panel is, for whatever they do, whether they come into the business or not, the exposure to the business will do them. That's where work ethic comes from. It will bode well for them, whatever their profession is and whatever they end up doing.
Most definitely. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And thinking about making sure your children are part of the business and understanding business. Curtis, I love to get your thoughts around, how far in advance do you plan for your business and your businesses? Are your children involved in the process, or do you plan for them to be? What's your thoughts around that?
Hold on. Say the question one more time.
How far in advance do you plan for your businesses? And are your children a part of that planning process, or will they be a part of that planning process?
Well, I got several different businesses, of course, entertainment being one of them, and they are not involved in that at all, of course, because you're dealing with adults. But I want to kind of not get off your question, and I get to your question, but I want to kind of touch on what Mr. Robertson said earlier about fatherhood and being an entrepreneur. It's a tough thing, especially for me, because I'm a night owl. For you guys, after 5 or 6 o'clock, if you want to close it up, wife expect you to be at the house. For me, my day might just be getting started sometimes. And trying to find a balance of being an entrepreneur and a father is a hard thing for a lot of reasons. And all three of the other guys on here know this. Sometimes you got a deal to come up, man, and you might have promised your wife dinner, and you know, sometimes you got to cancel family plans to make deals happen. I mean, it happens, you know, and sometimes it puts a strain on your family because it seems like dad is not here. It's always business. It's always business. But the reality of it is, if I don't do what I do, then you know it'd be hard to keep a roof over our head. So you know, trying to find that balance, I think that's a real difficult thing. That's why you have to put yourself in real good financial situations so you don't have to money chase as much and you can spend more time with your family. But in the beginning parts of it, man, sometimes you got to put your foot down with your wife or your spouse and tell her, baby, I got to get it. You'll be all right. Because I didn't have to do my wife like that, you know. But just make sure when you do that, there's some reward behind it. That way she ain't looking at you crazy. Okay. Some people do it and do it for years, 10, 11 years, and their family realize we still ain't got nowhere. And it creates tension. But when you do it, and you start to see some growth within your family, whatever it may be, whatever you consider growth being, your bank account, bigger home, savings, more cash flow, lavish vacations. When they see that, then all of it was worth it. So now I will tell you one thing about being a great father, and I think all of us are. When you love your kids, and especially as they get older, they do come first once you establish yourself. Like, if you told me that somebody that I was doing business with owed me 50,000, or I need to come get it, or do I go watch Lil Curtis playing a basketball game? I'm going to the game. You know, that's where I'm at now, because I realized my kids, because my daddy walked with me every step of the way. You know what I mean? I tell people, when my father died, if people knew, we probably had the ideal father-son relationship. We rocked from beginning to end. I have no regrets. He's just not here and, you know, with his body. But from when I was a baby all the way to 42 years old, me and my father rocked all the way. And I want to give my kids the same thing. So I have started to put, at first when my children were born, it was like tit for tat business and fatherhood, you know, because I was trying to get somewhere. Now that I didn't put myself in a better position, it's fatherhood comes. And like I said, I want to make sure I'm there for my kids, because you'll never get these memories back. And Mr. Ewing and Robinson, y'all got grown kids. And I know sometimes you wish they can go back to being 7, 8 years old. You know what I mean? Am I right? So like with me, my oldest is 15, the other one is 12, the others is 6. I'm just really trying to enjoy this moment with my kids, because after a while, they out the house. They own they own. But as far as the kids part and planning, no, my kids are not in the planning, because they school work demands a lot. So between school and athletics, it's hard for them to get involved with the business. I'm really with my kids, because, you know, of course, I'm an entertainer. I got restaurants. We own a couple of barbershops, and, you know, we develop homes, and we got, you know, several rental houses. You know, I kind of, the oldest, I try to steer him this way, but, you know, he's more of a basketball guy, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But my middle child is the one I might have to kind of steer as far as taking over the business. So I take him around, especially to the homes that we develop, the homes we own. I kind of just show him so he can start get the idea of what's going on. So maybe, you know, when I'm not here, he can be the one to kind of take over, you know, from the entrepreneur side from our family. So I don't really steer him this way.
Gotcha. Totally understandable. That was some real good insight though. Brent, I want to.
I just like to throw one little interjection in there when it comes to the family and business. I would often tell my wife, the kids is your baby and the business is mine. You take care of the kids and I'll take care of the business. And your business really becomes your baby. I mean, and you nurture that business just like it's your child, you know. So a lot of times you'll find yourself um, distance, a little distance from your children because you some things you want them to be exposed to, and some things you don't want them to be exposed to because that's your baby, and there's some closely held things that you have to do to take care of your business, to make sure your business is function. Sometimes you have to get up. I was up at 1 o'clock this morning making sure a truck pulled out headed to New York City, you know. And that would happen often when I was nurturing my business to the point to where it is now. And my wife took the kids to school. She made sure all of the events and everything that they had to attend, she was there, you know. And every now and then, I would get an opportunity to do it. Now, one thing that I did do with my children religiously, and that was to take them to church. I made sure that their religious values were instilled in them at an early age. Now, if they chose to go a different direction later, that's on them. But it was my responsibility to make sure that they were knowledgeable of the Creator who would be there for them when I couldn't be. So I made sure that element in their life was my responsibility in helping to be in their life from a businessman's perspective, taking care of the business and taking care of the family. So most times our spouses are the ones that spend the majority of the time with our children, and we spend the majority of the time with our businesses.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Next, I want to swing it back around to Brent. Brent, I want to get your thoughts around your definition of generational wealth and the steps you're taking to obtain
it. So my definition of generational wealth is having some assets, whether they're tangible or intangible, to pass down to your future. Uh, so some of the intangible things that you have is intellectual property, meaning that if Mr. Ewan had a secret sauce to some wings, and he could pass that down to his family, or if you had just other things like just beliefs and values are intellectual properties in my mind, because Stephen Covey said in a book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, that you have to have values which are changeless to help you cope with a changing world. So you have to have a changeless core. So those values, that's intellectual property. Then you have, of course, you know, tangible assets, whether it's real estate or cash or anything like that that you can pass down to your future generations, whether it's your kids, your grandkids, or whatever that may be. And even relationships is what I'm finding out as I get older. Those are some intangible things that I'm actually able to take advantage of just because of my family. They've been able to develop some relationships in certain realms that, you know, they put in some goodwill. So it's something that you have to maintain. You know, you want to maintain the efforts that some people who paved the way before you. For example, Benjamin Hooks did a lot of things in the civil rights movement for the Black community. That's something that I hold near and dear to my heart, and that's why I continue to try to be civically engaged and community minded. I want to make sure that, you know, as I continue to push forward a legacy, whether it's my last name or my first name or my full name, whatever it may be, I want to make sure that I'll leave this earth and say, hey, he job well done. And, you know, he was able to give back to the community and do exactly what he needs to do as far as, you know, upholding the generational values and assets that were passed down to me. But I think that, you know, most of the time people think of generational assets in a tangible way. And so, but I personally think of it in an intangible and tangible way, because I think there's value in both.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Last, we want to wrap up the conversation around community outreach. And I'd love to hear a couple of you all's answers around this. I know you all have, like you all mentioned, you have families, you have amazing businesses with an S at the end of that. So you all are real busy, but I really want to learn how are you all giving back to the community? And again, anyone could jump in, but I want to just hear a couple of you all talk on.
For me, again, if you knew my father, he had a football team. He had it since I was 8 years old. And I saw the way he nurtured us, my friends, and even after I got of age. And I saw how he gave back to the community through just not speeches, but their tough love, you know, letting kids spend the night over to the house, holding them accountable for grades, making them develop a work ethic, you know, something that I think our younger kids will suffer from because they don't know how to do nothing with their hands. You know, so like for me, the way I kind of give back now, I kind of give it back through sports. A lot of my kids in my program have single moms, no dad around. So I really become the father figure with these kids. A lot of them, my wife and I take care of, you know, and I do a whole lot with the community, and I never advertise it because what I do it from the heart. I don't really care for people to know it. It's irrelevant to me because I know how important it is to help these young men, because I have seen young men when we was growing up, the ones who had a good father figure in their life, they pretty much, I mean, think about Charles kids, think about Robinson kids. Look what their kids doing right now. Just think about it. Look at what I'm doing right now. I have a powerful man in my life. But then I can tell you about my partner who didn't have that, and he could be struggling. He might be locked up. One of my partners dead and gone. You know what I mean? And when I see that, I try my best to put my hands on these youth much as possible and show them it's a way that you can make it out here without selling dope, you know, without gang banging. You know, the same privileges or the same money that you see the local dope boy have, you can have just as much with a peace of mind being an entrepreneur. You know, and I try to shed my light on these kids because, you know, a lot of my boys I've been with for a while, they 15 and 16 now. You know, that's the age you start getting a girlfriend. You want to start trying stuff. And I think that 16 to 18, 19 years old, really 15, 18 is a determining age. I mean, most people, you almost who you are at 15 to 18 years old. If you're a class clown, 9 times out of 10, when you turn 23, 24, you won't be in nobody's school. You know, if you on the honor roll and class presidents and beta clubs and you're doing all that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to do what Brett did. You know, get your bachelor's and a master, do what y'all kids do. You know, so I tell people that 15 to 18 is critical with these kids. So as my kids get into their age group, I'm trying my best to put my hands and save many lives as possible, because y'all know and I know when you turn 18, man, it's a cold world out there. When you leave mom and dad the house, it's a cold world out there. And I try to be straight up with not just my boys, but I feel like I got about 100 sons. But someone taking heed to what I'm telling them. You know, it felt good today. Curtis had a basketball game, and one of his best friends, and he a baller, he said, "Coach, I can't make it today. I'm going to work. I always remember what you tell me. Try to keep some money in my pocket." And that really touched me, that, you know, things I have said is starting to resonate in some of these kids, you know, because I keep it guarded with them. I keep it guarded with them, and don't take this wrong way. And I still put my hands on them, but in the right way. You know what I mean? I still hold them accountable, you know, and they'll tell you they love me for it. You know, If we got an issue, I make them look me in the eye. You know what I mean? I done had to snatch a couple of them, but it's been out of love, and they mama fine with it because young men need that, because my dad snatched me. You know what I mean? When I was out of line, but it helps you build a character. So like for me, the way I try to give back, I just try to give back the way my father and my coaches gave back to me. And that's just basically being a respectable young man, understanding what you want to do in life. Like I ask them all, when the ball stop bouncing, what do you want to do? When the football stop throwing, what do you want to do? And 95% of them don't know. So now I try to steer them into, okay, this is going to stop. This is 99% chance you're not going to make. It's a numbers game. You're not going to make the NFL or NBA. What are your other plans? So as now we get into that phase with their ages, I'm trying to guide these guys to figure out what they're going to do. So that's one way I get back to the community, because I tell people all the time, the same young guys that you look over that you don't want to help will be the same guys at the doorstep with a gun, trying to kick your door in. You know what I mean? So I just try to do my due diligence and give it back to the youth by, having them around and dropping the knowledge and letting them know the things y'all trying to do where you think you slick about. We've been there before. I see that. You're not going to get nowhere doing that. So that's how I go about it.
Let me jump in. I want to go back, and I'll talk about the giving back in a minute, but I want to go back to something that Brent said in terms of intellectual property, or I'm going to call it intellectual capital. Intellectual capital. That is a form of generational wealth too. I think we need to make sure that we understand that generational wealth transcends, especially for folk who look like us. It includes, but it transcends money. All right. It deals with the ability to convey information and whatnot to allow and give your children an opportunity to make money and continue that whatever wealth you built up, to be able to add to it and continue it. That's important. That's important. The way they do business at All World, the way they do business at Ewing Moving, the way they do business at CGI, the way you do business is intellectual capital, and should be passed on to somebody of another generation. I mean, if you can't look like us, you can't be in the skin that we're in and be average or be mediocre. You got to be 8 times better. You got to teach your children that. You got to teach your kids that. It ain't no equity in this world for us. You got to be better. If not, it's going to be a rough time for you. So the way you guys, what you have learned in terms of how you do business needs to be passed on. And that is a form of intellectual capital. As far as generational wealth, well, I ain't going to tell that story, but at any rate, as far as we do in the community, there are things that we do online and there are things that we do offline. We're on boards, and my wife and I are on a lot of boards and have been on a lot of other boards and whatnot, and that's good. We participate with our church and we give back. I'm a probation officer, an auxiliary probation officer with juvenile court, so that's a way that I give back. But the thing that we are most proud of is this: we have 2 biological sons, but we have about 7 that we have raised. We have 7 that we have raised, 7 of them that have been raised in our house, not full time. They lived in their own places, but I say we raised them because we helped educate them, we clothed them, and we fed them. And to me, that denotes helping raise somebody anyway. We are most proud of them because they are 7 very strong, principled, productive men now, and they started from some real sketchy, questionable circumstances. And like Curtis said, nobody knows about that. That ain't something that we all out front with or anything. But it's something that needed to be done. It's something that we had an opportunity to do and to help. And we're proud of the men that they've become. So that's what we do.
Howard, and I know we want to try to move to this community, but this generational wealth is critical because relationships help to open up opportunities for generational wealth. I mean, and you got to instill the values in your children of how to build relationships, friendships. I never would have been involved in the Grizzlies had it not been for a relationship. That relationship opened up opportunities, and I mean, a world of opportunities. Howard and I we are founding board members of Stax Museum and Stax Music Academy. I mean, and that just opened up relationships out of this world. I mean, we met, I've had an opportunity to meet people from what Howard was working with. I ended up being the board chair of Stax for the 50th anniversary. We celebrated in New York City in Times Square, and everybody that was somebody in Stax had to be involved. So you got to get involved in your community. That outreach, that builds that generational wealth. George Cates told me 2 things. He said, son, if you're going to spend your time getting involved in boards and organizations, make sure that these 2 things are fulfilled. Either you're fulfilling your passion or you're making money. It's one of the 2. If it's not fulfilling a passion or making money, then you don't need to be involved. And the passion is what's going to drive the relationships and the generational wealth. Wealth in the Black community isn't always about dollars. It's about relationships. I can call Howard Robertson anytime, day or night, and based on his knowledge and relationships, I can exercise his relationships to help me. So and you'd be surprised. You hear the word all the time. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And I'm telling you, man, that is some serious information right there to be passed on from a generational wealth perspective. Wealth versus finance. Finance can be gotten, but wealth has to be almost inherited, or it has to be passed on. So that's what it's all about when it comes to the generational wealth. My children and my constituents utilize me to accomplish things that they couldn't do with money. So generational wealth supersedes money. I just wanted to make sure that got in that as well. And it also takes you right back to your community involvement. Fred Davis would often say, if you're not in business, then you can't afford to be involved in community outreach. Your business affords you because you own your own time. And when you own your own time, as Curtis said, if he get up in the morning, he want to go back to bed, he can, because he owns his own time. So I highly recommend that we get our young people aspiring to be entrepreneurs, aspiring to be business people, because that's going to give them the ability to own their own time and to create generational wealth. And you do it by being involved. I served 25 years on the Boys and Girls Club because that's my passion. There's Boys and Girls Club. We had white board members and black kids serving black kids, you know. And the Boys and Girls Club, we got 8 different clubs around the city. But the predominance of the boards didn't look like the kids. Board members didn't look like the kids. So I made it my business for them to see me and know that it's black folks involved in their future endeavors and their future plight by providing them these safe havens with Boys and Girls Club. So you got to get involved. This, and I promise you, I'm gonna close on this one. Being in a position to get involved comes through your success in business. If you have a successful business, opportunities will come to you every day. But you got to be choosy in the ones that you get involved in. But if you're not a successful business person, opportunities won't come your way. Howard and I was talking about some things in pertaining to getting FedEx involved in Africa. That's because we have the relationships and the things come our way so that we can help ignite and institute things because of our relationship, and because of our success in business. Stay in the game, and I promise you, the opportunities will continue to flow, and you'll be able to pass them on to your children.
Let me say one thing.
Thank you.
And let me say one thing, and I just don't get talked about enough. And I want to say it. I don't know who's listening, or how many people's on, but we really need to start educating our young men and women about credit. About credit. Y'all know how important that credit is. And I don't think when I really think about it, it's like we skip that step. And our young people, they get 17, 18 years old, and they don't understand the credit game. So by the time they mature, they ready to do things, they're not even in a situation to even move forward because they don't have the credit. And we always hit a brick wall, as black people especially, about bad credit, not having the proper paperwork lined up. And Brent, I get with you on this too, Brent. We need to start something to where we can educate young people on just structuring their businesses right out the gate. You know, their credit and stuff. Because how many times have we been denied? It's set up by design. We as blacks been denied all because of paperwork, not because you can't do it, all because of paperwork. What? Credit. Your LLC ain't set up right. You know, you don't have business credit. You don't have a personal finance statement. You don't have a profit and loss statement. You know, how many times? And that be their reason. But like you said, that's the kind of wealth we have to pass down as well. You know, having your paperwork in line, having your credit in line. You understand what I'm saying? Those, can you hear me? Can y'all hear me? Those are the things I think, and I'm happy I brought it up. And Brett, man, you can start something, brother, that we can really help people, because y'all know how critical that credit is. Y'all know how critical that paperwork is.
Yeah.
How many times do we get denied as black people all because our paperwork doesn't line up? You know, so that's something I think all of us understands, because I know we all organized, we all got our paperwork in line, that we need to pass down to our youngsters about having that alone can get you in places cash can't get you into. Having your paperwork credit alone can get you in places that cash can't get you into. You know what I mean? So I just want to say that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Having good credit, it adds an extra bit of leverage that you can take advantage of. So, for example, if you buying a house with 20% down, that it's a multiplying effect. You got 20,000, that give you 100,000. So you're able to get exactly what you need. So credit is very important. I'm looking forward to working with you on that. I think, you know, financial literacy is actually one of the things that our community consistently talks about, but there have been limited efforts on, well, I can't say limited, but there hasn't been a centralized effort there's been a big enough push within our community to make a real difference. We need to continue to push it forward, and I totally agree with you, Curtis. I think it's a good idea to continue to push forward financial literacy within our community overall. I just got done reading a book on the wealth gap in Black banking, and just the net worth of Black people is about 10 to 17 times less than the white community, whereas they have an average net worth of about 170,000. We got a net worth of 17,000. So that's a big difference. And I mean, unless you educate yourselves and be able to understand that the only way out of oppression is through education, then everything's gonna remain the same.
Perfect, man. I've been over here taking notes the entire time, so I thank y'all. I love this conversation. Not for myself, but for the people that's on this call and my friends that said they were going to join in and take some notes. So I thank y'all, for these different nuggets. We want to wrap up with getting, one important remark, from each of you. What's one 1 minute just for each person to say something that, if you all walk away today and can't talk to this audience ever again, what's one thing you all want them to know before you all hop off?
So I'll kick it off real quick. And honestly, if I had to tell anybody anything, it'll be truth be told, live a principle-based life. I mean, all these material things that come and go. If you live a principle-based life, like I said, you'll be able to deal with the changing environment around you. Because as you can see through 2020, people are going through emotional stress, physical stress, all types of stress. But if you got to change this core inside, you believe in a higher power, whatever your higher power may be, you'll be able to make it through difficult times. Because tough times don't last, but tough people do.
Okay, I guess I'd say my minute. If I left here, a couple of things I want to say is, whatever you decide to do, let the passion be more your drive than the money. Because when you love what you do, the money part gonna come. Like, as far as entertainment, I love what I do. I love it. Okay. So, and the fact that I got the passion for it and the love for it, the money part gonna come. And another thing, I tell people all the time, stay sucker free. Surround yourself around like-minded people. Okay. I can't say that enough. Stay sucker free. Surround yourself around like-minded people. I tell people all the time, just like you can pray for good things, people can pray for bad things about you. And negative energy does exist. So if you got negative people around you, if you're involved with people that always know what somebody's saying, always know what somebody said about you, you need to get the hell away from around them. People don't mean you any good. And just surround yourself with, take care of your credit. Like Brett said, let some of these Joneses pass you by. If it's a fade on some certain kind of jeans, let it pass by. Don't get you any. Save your money. Save your money. Take care of your credit. Stay sucker free. Get yourself around some like-minded people and have a passion for what you want to do, and the rest will be history.
I'll let Howard close it out, and I would just say, in all of your building, build on a solid foundation, and anybody that builds a building, build a business, whatever, you got to build it on a solid foundation. That's morals, principles. It's got to be right, and because when all of the things come at you, then those are the only things that's going to propel you up and hold you up where you can get through whatever you got to go through. In business, in life, you're going to have ups and you're going to have downs. But how you bounce back from them is what makes the difference in whether or not you succeed. And you can bounce back from them if you build your life on a solid foundation. My foundation is Christ Jesus. That's my solid foundation. I can always refer back to the word of God. I can always refer to the fact that I can pray. I don't need nobody to pray for me. That's fine if you pray for me, but I can pray. I have a personal relationship with God. I know him for myself, and it makes all the difference in the world. All the other things, now you're going to have some good, some bad, some ups, some downs, but make sure that foundation is solid. That's what I'd like to say to anybody. If I never say another word to anybody in the future, then I want to leave you with that thought. Build your life on a solid foundation. Brother Howard?
Thank you. I just like to say this. Failure should not be a final destination. I won't say failure will not be an option, because all of us fail. But you don't have to stay there. Charles and Michael Hooks Jr. and I had the pleasure of going to Ghana. That was probably the last flight any of us took, and that was March. We came back just probably about 36 hours shy of being refugees. So, but when we were there, and they all saw this plaque, in one of the slave castles over there, there's a plaque that welcomes African Americans back home. And it's got a line on it that I want everybody to remember, because I have not forgotten it since I saw it. The line says, "For you are the children of those who refused to die." And they proceed to tell you about how there were well over 60 million of our people that were captured into bondage. And only 12 million, 12 out of the 60 million made the passage. That's 20%. Tell me a business that you could be in other than the business of selling human beings where you lose 80% of your product. So we are those people. So we are those people that are the survivors. We are very resilient people. We're very tough people. And that's why I tell you, failure should not be a destination. Too many people put too much blood, sweat, tears, and lives into making sure you have the opportunity that you have. That's why failure can't be a final destination. So make the best of it. Whatever it is that you're doing, be the best at it. Whatever it is that you're doing, make sure that you succeed. Don't quit, and keep doing what you're doing. God bless you.
Perfect, man. Thank y'all. For real. Thank y'all for those words, your time. We really appreciate the things that you all said, whether it was fatherhood, whether it was generational wealth, or the advice around community outreach and the things that y'all are doing to touch the people in the public and behind closed doors. So I definitely respect the work that you all are doing from one entrepreneur or business owner to another. And I want to thank the people that stayed on this call and watched this entire situation and got a bunch of insight from it. I know I did, so I know a lot of you all did as well. So thank y'all for being here with us. I know I want to really uplift Memphis Urban League young professionals and the things that they're doing throughout the community. This was a really good situation to be a part of and half of the city. But overall, you know, National Day of Empowerment is a national situation, and in the work that Memphis is doing to uplift Memphis as a whole, young professionals and other people, you know, it's a beautiful thing to be a part of. So thank y'all for doing this hard work. So with that being said, I'd like to hand this over to the president, Ashley, and let her say a few things.
Thank you so much, Kenny. Thank you for serving as our moderator for the evening. Thank you to all of our participants this evening, George, my mentor in the movement, Joshua Perkins, Mr. McCray with Saving Our Sons, representing our affiliate, Memphis Urban League. I want to lend a special thank you to our affiliate president and CEO, Ms. Tanya Cecily Bayman, for your continued support. And what about this magnificent panel of men of the movement representing what the new Black Power looks like, showing us that it's not enough to just succeed, but true success only happens when you uplift others as you elevate yourself, when your family is taken care of, when your community impact is felt, and when you leave a legacy through generational wealth to ensure your success is passed on to other generations after you. This was an incredible panel, and I thank each and every one of you for participating. Tonight, you all, we have heard from the legends who have shared their experiences, wisdom with us. But we here at Memphis Urban League Young Professionals, we're not content with just hearing these men. We also want to make sure to honor our men of the Memphis community that have embodied the aims and values of our organization, things to uplift the Memphis community, and truly support the Memphis Urban League Young Professional movement. So tonight, we would like to we would like to honor our inaugural Man of the Movement Award to the Mr. Curtis Givens Jr. As Mr. Howard Robinson explained to all of us, it can all start with a walk on the beach. And with the right one by your side, a walk can turn into an empire. Our honoree, Mr. Curtis Givens, has truly showed us that with the missus and his family right there by his side, you truly can build an empire. He has served as a leader and mentor to other young men throughout his leadership with the Dream Chasers Basketball League. He has also been one of Memphis Urban League Young Professionals' biggest supporters and the sponsor for our Memphis Urban League Young Professional Annual Scholarship Fund. As you can see, tonight's recipient of our inaugural Man of the Movement Award is certainly no stranger to the movement, hard work, building an empire that is an example of generational wealth. And Curtis Givens truly embodies what it means to uplift the Memphis community and the Memphis Urban League Young Professional movement. So at this time, we would like to virtually honor and present our inaugural Man of the Movement Award to Curtis Givens. Curtis, we will coordinate this award to you. And we thank you for your support and your example and just for the staple that you are to the Memphis community and all of those you directly and indirectly impact and influence. If you have any words you'd like to share, you may do so at this time.
Well, I didn't know I was getting it, but I thank you guys. You know, anytime I can be as a help to the Memphis Urban League Young Professionals, you know, you call on me, guy, on me, you know, I'm glad to be a part of it. Tell me, Tanya, hey, how you doing? But thank you for the award. It means a lot to me, but you know, it's a lot of work to be done. It's a lot of work for me to do out here, you know, before I leave this good earth. So thank you again, and I accept your award.
Thank you. Thank you again to our 2020 Man of the Movement, Mr. Curtis Givens Jr. And thank you to all of our panelists, Brent Hooks, Mr. Charles Ewing, and the Mr. Howard Robinson. We honor and salute and thank all of you for your work in the Memphis community and the example that you all are to all of us of what it looks like and what it means to build, and not just build, but to lift others up as you climb. As president of Memphis Urban Young Professionals, I want to again thank all of our participants and all of you for tuning in to this powerful panel of Black Wealth Builders here in the Memphis community. This was the kickoff event for our Black Wealth Empowerment Series. We will have many more events and programs surrounding Black wealth and how to attain it in the coming year. Our man of the movement, Curtis, spoke on the importance of credit and the need for us to have more conversations. And it's funny because Memphis Urban League, we're in the works of planning an event surrounding credit. So I hope that, Curtis, we can reach out to you and Brent.
Hey, Brett and I are going to put it together.
So stay tuned, everyone, to stay up to date with our events and programs. Please follow us on social media. Check out our website, www.memphisulYP.org, to learn more about the movement and how you can join. Again, we thank you all for joining us. Please be safe. And as we prepare for the holiday season, we here at Memphis Urban Young Professionals want to wish you all a happy and blessed season of Thanksgiving. Thank you all again.